Who's not coming down the track? Who's not coming down the track? It's a Nemo Street in red and white. Nemo Street in red and white. Ain't nothing finer in the rain. Ain't nothing finer in the rain. When the drums are marching straight to bed. Come on, come on.
What's up, y'all? This is John, Mike, and Caleb back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. During the intro that y'all just saw, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching the video on Spotify, you'll notice that that is the old intro video because for like the second or third time, Caleb has sent me the new one, and I have forgotten to put it on our recording software.
Yes,
So
we understand Carson Peck isn't here anymore.
yeah, shame on me. I get it. That 100% my fault. But we are getting into like some kind of season preview, breaking down everything we know so far, trying to figure out what we can really expect, asking some questions. But before we get into all of that, how are y'all doing and what are you drinking?
I am doing pretty good. Got a bit of a break from I say break, it's 2 weeks, but a break from working late. So having an evening to spend with you guys on a Tuesday is wonderful. I've got my
Absolutely.
cream soda back, so I am enjoying a nice cream soda. Don't read too much into that internet. Don't make it weird.
Pause.
Mike, how you doing?
Doing pretty well. Just going through the motions. I'm also drinking a soda, but then don't mind the cup that I'm drinking from because it's the only thing we had left.
Ah,
The old pink Stanley cup. But yeah, just going through the motions. John, how about you?
you know, it it's better than it was. I wouldn't call it great. Uh, Still no AC. We're running a portable and two window units because last week the guy that put a capacitor in when he was giving us a quote, about the time that I got done recording with y'all last Thursday, the capacitor, the brand new one, went out. But
Mm.
approved the quote to get a new one put in. Hopefully it'll get done on Friday. So we are rocking and rolling there. The water pump on my truck, I somehow messed up the gasket when I was putting it on last week. So it started leaking again. Love that for me. So I got a new gasket when I was trying to put it on today using acetone and WD-40 and stuff to try and get the old gasket off. I also worked out in the heat all day and didn't eat lunch because I'm a very intelligent man. Gave myself a massive migraine that I dealt with for the last few hours. But I'm back. I'm good to go. I am drinking um, also soda. This is just a silver variety with mountains on the can. It's
Are they
considered a
blue?
soft drink in Europe.
Are the mountains blue?
They were a few minutes ago, but this room that I'm in
Oh,
right now does
it's a
not
million
have a
degrees.
window unit.
Mm,
Ah,
mm.
So, yeah, if you guys see me starting to sweat a little bit, it is because we don't have any air conditioning. And this room is closed off in the back corner of the house where I'm getting only airflow from the fan on, which I can't turn on high because then you guys will hear it on the audio and be annoyed. We got comments early on about me having the fan on, so I've tried not to use it and don't really have a choice at the moment. So we are
Did
rolling with it on low.
did
yeah.
we ever get comments about my smoke alarm?
Not that I've seen, shockingly.
No.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
somehow.
Interesting.
Yeah, I I don't. I'm not gonna read into that.
Maybe, yeah, maybe people just don't like that color of humor these days. I don't know.
I will say it does go off occasionally, just like once, like every few hours. I don't know. I
So
gave up.
why haven't you gotten a new one?
I'm not home enough.
Good point.
I'm like, I'll get over it. I'll make
Yeah.
the house burn down. Oh well.
So I may have talked about this on the podcast before, but speaking of smoke detectors, we had one in our bedroom that would just randomly go off. And I don't mean like the chirp. I mean like go off like there was a fire. And one day last summer, it happened at like 3 in the morning. And I woke up and I reset it and it went off again. I reset it again. And then my wife started freaking out and she's like, what if there's fire in the attic? I'm like, Kelsey, if there's fire in the attic, I don't think that the smoke detector in the corner of our bedroom will be going off. That's just not how smoke works. Smoke rises, the attic's above the bedroom. Just mathematically not a thing. And then she had me walk around the entire house and then through the attic at 3 o'clock in the morning to make sure that nothing was on fire. And then I got home from work one day and it was going off again randomly. And fun fact on smoke detectors, if you pull it off on the bottom, I guess the top, the part that goes to the like attachment base, there's a little thing where you can stick a flathead screwdriver in there and just break the mechanism. And it never works again, but it never goes off again. So I did that. We don't
Noted.
have a smoke detector in the bedroom anymore. I was whatever. It's what is it? From Rocky, if he lives, he lives, or if
Yeah,
he
if he
dies, he
die, if
dies.
if he dies,
Yeah.
he dies.
Yeah, that's man. For someone who works in fire protection, I don't take fire protection in my house all that serious. I do have fire extinguishers, and we now have a fire blanket. You know, trying to
Okay.
be. We'll put it out. We just won't know it's coming. You know. Um, but what's coming for the Georgia Bulldogs? That's what we're getting into. And Caleb was gracious enough to put this outline together while I was trying to like asphyxiate myself with chemicals. So we are going to go through this. But Caleb did a great job. It looks more professional and put together than an outline that I've done in probably a year. So very thankful for that. Um, First category: quarterbacks slash offensive game plan. And what we know, we have Gunnar Stockton as being treated like a known commodity, only really scrimmaging enough to make sure he knows how to execute the game plan. If you ask anybody in the national media, that means he's actually trash. They're trying to find his replacement
Yep.
and all the things. But Ryan Puglisi still seems to be the favorite for the backup spot, but Ryan Montgomery had a much better day than him at the second scrimmage. And there is a lot of talk about Hezekiah Malinder. I want to know where the conversation about Beaver is.
Yeah, for real. We need more Beaver in the media spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Never enough Beaver.
Mm-hmm.
The game plan is going to shift more to using power run plays to set up deep shots, particularly throws over the middle to tight ends, which more resembles a Todd Monken offense than what we've seen in the last 3 years with Bobo. The questions: what do we expect out of Gunnar Stockton being asked to make more throws over the middle, and how much is Aaron Murray shaking in his boots about that?
Well, like Kirby did talk about in one of his press conferences that Gunnar was working on the layering aspect of it. So I guess he was giving some credence to Aaron Murray, but Gunner's not as bad as Aaron Murray was making him out to be.
No, very much not. He wasn't. I do understand. Like he didn't take a whole lot of shots over the middle last season. If he was taking a deeper shot, it was mostly on the sides. So while I clowned Aaron Murray for the take just because of how high he was on Arch Manning all season, there was some reason to ask some questions, if nothing else. I know I'm usually the hype guy in red and black glasses, but there were reasons to ask some questions. But apparently, despite what the national media will tell you, according to folks that are actually there, Gunnar looks great going into this season. Looks like he's up to the challenge.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about what Gunner's got to offer this season. One thing that I am really excited about is just the rest of the offense really coming of age. Last season, while there were veteran pieces on the offense, Colby Young was out for a majority of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Zachariah Branch was in, I'm not going to say a limited role, but he was in a role of
he was very
guaranteed.
specific.
He was in a role of high percentage plays to
Mhm.
move the football, is what it was. Because that's kind of what the offense needed for most of last year.
Yeah.
So the pieces were put in places that they did not necessarily excel the best in, but that's what the team needed at the time. And
Hmm.
so Georgia, I think we've talked about it a bunch. They are top 10 in the country in returning production with the
Despite also being
youngest.
the youngest team in the country.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm really excited about that. I think I have more questions about pieces of the offense that other people are concerned about less. I think is
Hmm.
where
Yeah.
most of my questions run. But for the game plan aspect of the quarterback situation, do we expect Mike Bobo to stick to this game plan, and do we think it's going to be successful?
The reason I put this in is that I was worried that the first scrimmage basically had one touchdown and it was on a screen pass. And so I'm like, oh no, when does what I expect, and it's basically what we saw at times last season, though nobody wants to admit it or talk about it, which is that ag- against the opponents we're pretty sure we can beat, we will probably see more of the run screen type game plan that Mike Bobo haters always point to. Um, just A, because Kirby doesn't like putting anything on tape, and B, it's like, why would we take risks with the football when we're just trying to get out of here without an injury and get a win? But I think we will really start to see this game plan shine maybe a little bit against Arkansas and then going into like Oklahoma and Alabama. The opponents everybody's circling on the calendar, I think, is when we're really going to see these big moments shine. That's kind of also what we saw. I made the comparison to the Todd Monken offense and the way that that was run. That's kind of what we saw when Todd Monken was offensive coordinator too. That things were pretty much kept simple until they didn't need to be anymore. So the question is, if we keep things simple in those little games, are they going to be ready for it when the big games come?
Yeah, they really need to start doing that,
Mm.
like you said, kind of early, like at least partially against Arkansas, because that Oklahoma game's coming up right after that, and that's going to be the best defense they play all year. So
Mm-hmm.
they do need to get their identity figured out fairly early on. But like you said, the first 2.5 weeks of that, uh, just kind of business as usual. Like I'll just go on the record right now and say they're not covering
Nope.
1 and 2.
I have
They're
already
not.
I have made 3 bets for this season. One is the future for Georgia to win the national championship. One is the future or the win total over 9.5, because that's a ridiculously disrespectful number.
Yeah.
It is minus 180 right now. And then the third was for Tennessee State to cover the spread week one. It was like
Yeah.
Whatever the
44 and a
spread
half.
is, they
It was
are
44
covering
and a
it.
half when I looked at it. They're going to cover.
Yeah.
And so I have, I kind of have conflicting trains of thought on this. Um, so one thing that I really expect to see out of this offense more this season is going back to 2021 Todd Monken offense, using a lot more 13 personnel because
Hmm.
of the known quantities at tight end, especially early in the season.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I'll be honest, I don't really expect any single receiver on the team to get more than 4 or 5 catches the first 2 weeks.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be first half or until it's like a 4 possession lead against Tennessee State. Like, I truly think that it is going to be, let's say, 55% open of the offense
Yeah.
Hmm.
because they want to figure it out early. They want to know what they need to work on in the next few weeks. Western Kentucky, just because I think Western Kentucky's offense is very difficult to defend, especially if you don't
Hmm.
play that type of offense often. I think Georgia's going to have to. It'll probably be around 55% of the playbook again, but I think it'll be into the third quarter. Probably not a 4 possession lead. Let's call it a three,
Yeah.
maybe like three and a field goal possession lead.
Especially
That
Kirby's got a lot of respect for that coaching staff too, and when that happens with these lesser opponents, he tends to let them hang around.
right, and I really expect it to be one of those like set somewhere between 17 and 24 points of
Hmm.
difference where the offense it doesn't limit like I think it will against Tennessee State. I think it'll draw back to you know, a lot more runs, a lot more. We're trying to get 5 yards, not 55-yard
Yeah.
type plays. Um,
And I,
and
I think I think even that will be used to set things up down the road too, not to interrupt. But I
no, you're
think
good.
you can use those first 2, 3 games to really establish for everyone else on tape the dominance that this running game has. Because
Right.
and then you can open up. I mean we've seen Georgia do this, open up with big flea flickers or big pass plays against the big opponents because they have set up that, oh, how are we going to stop the run? They're going to have to crowd the box to get anything done. So the schedule sets up really well to do something like that this year.
And just kind of going back to last year too. I mean, they really didn't show anything on offense until they had to against Tennessee. It took them a little while to get going too. I think I remember being concerned about it the first couple weeks for sure.
It turns out the offense carried us for a good bit of
Yeah.
the season.
Yeah, right.
And one thing that I do also expect is the first 2 weeks, I expect 10 plus different offensive linemen to get significant snaps.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like we talked about a number of times, especially this offseason, Georgia is never bad at the same thing 2 years in a row. Never. Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And one thing that they struggled with last season was offensive line depth and guys being in over their head when they were needed.
Mm-hmm.
So I fully expect we're going to have guys get significant snaps first 2 weeks at offensive line that even the people that still pay significant attention to recruiting don't know. And like I'm happy about that. But the Mike
Yeah.
Bobo stat that I teased before we started recording, I'll be honest, I don't until it fails, I don't care what the game plan is. For one
Facts.
reason. Mike Bobo has the most SEC championships as a coordinator since a guy that I guarantee you none of you guys have heard of, George Hafner, when he went 1980 and 1981 SEC champions.
Mm.
It's the only Georgia offensive coordinator since George Hafner in 81 to have 2 SEC championships as the Georgia offensive coordinator. So
that might be significant.
Right. Like I don't good enough is just that. It's something that I say way too often in my life. Like it doesn't have to be perfect, but good enough is just that.
Yeah.
Let's go into offensive line and running backs. Do one of you guys want to read these facts? What we know?
Yeah. Yeah, I can take it on. So what we know, what we've heard out of camp, Nate Frazier, Chauncey Bowens, and Dwight Phillips, Peanut, obviously our three-headed monster at running back, with Bo Walker getting very involved in scrimmages as well. I assume, hopefully later down the line, we'll get some Dante Dowdle in there as well. We just don't know right now because of the injury situation. The offensive line is young in terms of age, but it returns a lot of playing experience after Juan Gaston and Dontrell Glover and others were just thrown into the fire last season. Speaking of which, Juan Gaston seems to be performing very well at tackle in scrimmages and in camp. And Psyche Helton is also doing very well at guard, according to the reports that I have heard coming out of there. So the questions really that I had about this is how do we expect the O-line to do separately in the run game and in pass protection? Because I know at times one or the other kind of fell off last season. And then in terms of the running backs, do we have a Cash Jones this year? Somebody who can be the receiving threat out of the backfield, come in, be that third down guy. Do we have one of those, / who do we see jumping into that kind of a role, if we even need it to? Because those tight ends might just be our third down saviors this year. Who knows?
Well, I was kind of hoping that Cash Jones would just come back, but the SEC put that to bed.
They sure did.
Yeah, I really feel like we buried the lead with everything that happened between last Friday and today.
Yeah,
What,
we've
did
got
something
conferences
happen?
having to come out and announce that they're not taking former NFL players because judges are allowing that to happen.
Well, and just this morning, Lane Kiffin, who was really center of most of this controversy, goes on a press conference and says it's not fair if the conferences make rules that say we can't do this, getting ahead of it because I'm sure he knew that the SEC was working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the SEC did it. And here's the thing. This is something that we talked about in our group chat. If the rule is there, take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
That taking advantage of a rule that's in place does not make the rule fair. It does not make the rule reasonable. It does not justify it in any situation. But taking advantage of it's not the wrong thing to do. So I don't have
No,
an
they're
issue with Lane Kiffin saying, yeah, anybody who wants to come back, we'll take you. But ideally, and this is in a perfect world, um, every one of the core four conferences makes a rule against it, and then we just get juggernaut group of six teams
yes.
to actually compete in the playoffs. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have
Give me Georgia
half,
Southern led by Cash Jones and Ja'Cory Thomas and all those guys.
With Maximum Johnson
But
thrown
yes.
at him.
yeah, you just have a team in Statesboro that is 75% former SEC players, and it's just like, who can beat us? I would
Mm-hmm.
like to see you try. Uh, may happen, probably won't, but it might.
It would be
Or even
very
just come to
possible.
Savannah State and I'll just buy season tickets and just walk on over.
There we go.
Yeah, I'll park at Mike's house.
Yeah, there we go. Can't guarantee it won't get stolen, but yeah.
I was about to say I will put all valuables inside of your house. Still can't guarantee they won't be stolen, but
Right.
um. So getting back to the actual topic, the offensive line. I had to pull up the roster to remember a few of these guys' first names. But there are a few guys that I am really excited to see in the first couple of weeks and kind of see how they play because we've seen them play intermittently throughout their careers. Malachi Tolliver.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody remembers that name. I'm really excited to see what he can do this year. I'm not exactly sure what position he fits well at. But regardless, I'm excited to see him. Michael Unini. I am probably pronouncing that wrong.
I've heard Uinai as a
Uinai.
I like that
possible.
better. I like that
I
better.
also
Yeah.
like that better. Both of these guys are juniors, but Michael Uinai, 6'7", no jokes, 325 pounds as a junior. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to see a guy like him fit into that left tackle spot because Gunner throws to the right a lot more often. And if we're just being honest, he's not the tallest guy. And
Yeah,
I don't necessarily want to see him try to throw over someone who is that much taller than him.
fair.
But
Yeah.
I would
Could be
love
a
to
problem.
see Mike get in there at some point. Dontrell Glover, obviously. Jazeer Jackson is a guy we've talked about for years, a guy that wore tight end number a lot of the times over the last couple of years. Also a junior. This guy is 6'10", 350.
Mm.
I put
Golly.
him at fullback.
Yep.
Like, just get him at fullback.
Try to
Can he
tackle
get
him,
low
guys.
enough? Can he get low enough at 6'10"?
I guarantee you he could run through somebody.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And then who's Daniel Calhoun, also a junior, 6'6", 325. Ogboko is a guy we've talked about a lot. He's a true freshman. Mason Short's a sophomore. He was highly recruited coming out of high school. Marcus Harrison, 6'8", 330. I'm not worried about the guys in the room at offensive
Mm-hmm.
line. Kind of what I'm getting at there. I want to know not only who the best five are, but who the best five that work the best together are.
Yeah. How do they gel?
Right.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to the most in the first two, and I hate to say it, probably 3 weeks, at least in the second half of that Arkansas game. And the running back question. I don't think we're going to have a guy specifically in the Cash Jones role because Nate is a decent receiver out of the backfield. I think Peanut is probably going to be your halfback screen guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that speed.
He's got the speed. I am a little concerned about his blocking. I think that's why he didn't get as much playing time last season. But if he's
Right.
been able to improve on that, get in the weight room a little bit, we don't need. Look, guys, we don't need peak Chubb, Michelle, Swift.
No one's gonna have that again, by the way. Gurley, Michelle,
Yeah,
Chubb,
yeah.
that is a running back room that was once in a lifetime.
Well, I'm just saying, like, not even their running or receiving acumen, just their blocking. These are guys
Yeah.
that got in the program and were like, I also get to hit people. Yes,
Hmm.
please.
Yeah.
Like that, it's not really a thing anymore, especially when they're getting paid like they are. So we need somebody that's going to block like, um, it's an LSU running back from like 2012 that was notorious for this. He would start like he was going to block you and then just dive at your feet. Either make you jump over him or trip you up. And I don't remember who it is off the top of my head.
Was that one
Um,
of the Falcons?
no, it was after the Falls.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Um, I don't remember his name, but that was kind of his thing. Like he was known as a good blocker because you weren't going to get past him because he was going to trip you. That I'm good with that. Give Gunner an extra second, maybe two. Like I don't need you to block like Ernest Green. I need you to slow the guy down.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for in the first 2 weeks as far as running backs go. Just who can block the best. I'm not really concerned about Nate. He's crazy enough to like to hit people. No disrespect. I love crazy. Um, Chauncey, in and out of the roster last season with injuries. Looking forward to seeing him healthy for an extended period of time. I think Peanut's probably the best pure receiving threat, but is his blocking going to be good enough to go in and be able to take significant snaps?
Hmm. Somebody I've heard out of camp, and it's not a running back, who has been kind of a Mr. Reliable in some situations. That it's a name we have not brought up on this podcast, I think, once, but he was pretty heavily recruited. It was Landon Rolden.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
He's been getting not like a ton of praise, not like the big guys have at wide receiver, but he's been getting a little bit as just kind of a reliable guy. So we might see him pop onto the field in some of those situations too.
Hmm.
Mike, you want to take pass catchers?
Yeah, let's go. All right, so moving on to pass catchers. So what we know, tight end room is going to be legendary, as we've talked about a lot this offseason. In particular, Elias Williams is being called no longer just the big body in the passing game, and Caden Prothro is apparently just undeniable in terms of getting on the field plenty. He's going to be all over the place, whether there's a tight end or a slot, from what we've heard from camp. Wide receivers seem to be getting outperformed by the DBs, but the secondary, again, arguably the best in the country. So, take from that what you will. Questions that we have: which pass catcher do we expect to lead the team in receiving?
Yeah, that was a typo putting name there. Thank you for catching
No, no, all good. Not quite Ron Burgundy, but close. And then how many guys in the receiving room do we realistically think are kind of deep threats that we need to have the offense that Mike Bobo says he wants to run?
Yeah, so on the first question, I expect the best pass catcher on the team to probably not be a wide receiver. But I do think someone, if we're talking just in terms of pure catches or yards, I think we're probably either going to see a Sokovie White-Helton or a CJ Wiley, somebody on the outside getting a solid amount of targets this year in terms of just where is going to throwing the ball up to. I still think that's possible. Um, but it's hard for me not to look at that tight end room and see the guys who are going to be running up the middle and think one of those guys is just going to. We'll probably have one of those guys each game kind of carrying the offense in some way, or at least carrying the passing game in some way.
I would think that probably the leading receiver in terms of receptions probably will be a tight end this year. I don't know. We'll
It
I'd
could be.
say
It's
have to
hard
see. I
because
don't
there's
know.
so many of them that are going to be slotting in and out. Whereas at
Mhm.
wide receiver, I feel like we more have a couple of guys who are going to be at the top getting most of those reps.
Like like do we think that the leading receiver is going to have? I know what Zachariah Branch had. What, he had 83 catches last year, 80 something
Yeah, no,
catches.
no, nobody's going to have that many catches this year.
No.
No, but like, are we even going to get to like 60? I don't know.
I guess that it depends on how much we're relying on one guy. Like if Caden Prothro is really just that guy and just has to get the ball every play, maybe. but
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like there's so much spreading around that's going to happen with the ball, especially if we're running first and then to set up throwing, which seems to be where the plan is going. That I don't know that anybody's going to get 50 on their own.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say that first. Yeah.
So I'm going through the roster at the moment and looking at these guys. I'll be honest, I see just as many tight ends that I think are going to have a big impact on the team as I do wide receivers. So,
Yeah.
like, just going through it, guys that I expect to have an impact. And normally, the way it works at Georgia is there's a wide receiver that you don't expect at the beginning of the year to have an impact, and they end up having a decent impact.
Yeah.
So, for wide receivers, Jacoby White-Helton, Talon Taylor, C.J. Wiley, Isaiah Canyon, London Humphreys. I have not in my own research heard a ton about Landon Roldan, and with his size, no disrespect, 6 foot 185, I think that's probably a little light to play significant playing time. But he is still a
Hey, Lad
sophomore.
McConkey, how you doing?
Mhm.
I think I think Ladd had a little more weight on him than
Yeah,
that, to
probably.
be fair. But then in the tight end room, you have Lawson Lucky, Ethan Barber, who Ethan Barber was a starter in the first
Hmm.
two games. Let's not
Probably the
get
best
past that.
blocking tight end we have. Let's not forget.
Elias Williams. Oh, what was that? Elias Williams, Jaden Riddell, Caden Prothrow, and let's not forget a guy who was a high 4-star tight end a few years ago, Colton Heinrich,
Hmm.
who, I mean, at that point, we're talking five, maybe six tight ends, five, maybe six wide receivers. I think the ball's going to get spread out so much that it's going to be difficult to say anybody leads the team in receiving.
Yeah.
Maybe yards, but
Yeah.
as far as
Just targets. Yeah.
yeah,
You're gonna have
For
with the way this team is, the way you take advantage of all these weapons is spreading the ball around and make sure the defense doesn't know which one of these, especially when you have like 13 personnel, which one of these behemoths is going to get the ball this play. We don't know, and we can't cover all of them.
right.
and for what it's worth, like if you kind of go back to 21 and 22, so with Todd Monken calling the offense, 21 leading receiver in terms of receptions was Brock Bowers at 56. In the following year, he led the team with 63. But like outside of that, like going back to 21, second on the team is Ladd McConkey with 31 receptions.
Yeah.
Like it's not a ton.
And as far as who do we think the deep threat is going to be, I have a difficult time not saying Talon Taylor or C.J. Wiley. And
My thought was C.J. Wiley
oh
personally.
man, I would be so excited. And Isaiah Canyon, of course, he, I think he could fill the, why am I blanking on his name? Kobe Young.
Yeah.
I think he could fill the Kobe Young role very well. But man, if you haven't, go back and watch the last game of C.J. Wiley's high school career. I know it's high school, but just watch. Just Georgia Public Broadcasting high school championship game in Mercedes-Benz. He was unstoppable in a high school championship game where he was playing against other guys with D1 scholarships. And
Yeah, dude's an athlete. Dude
yeah,
is going to be one of the top 5 most athletic people on the field on any field he's stepping on.
and I have a difficult time not thinking that he will not translate that to college now that, according to the roster, he's put on some weight. Kirby doesn't put wide receivers on the field that don't block.
Hmm.
Like I have every confidence thinking that CJ Wiley is going to be an impact player this year. Moving to the defensive line, and I'll take this one. Well, we know Elijah Griffin is transforming into a monster. Coaching staff is optimistic about the way this unit has played. Getting into the questions, will we actually have a pass rush this season? And who will be the standout defender on the edge? Larry Knight is the new pass rush slash outside linebackers coach. 39 sacks last year at Arkansas State, which was ninth in FBS, averaged 3 per game. And just based on the reels and footage that the football team themselves have put out from fall camp, he it seems like the players love this guy already.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't think they're going to love a coach that's not going to let the big dogs eat.
Yeah. That
So,
is from everything I've heard. That not only are they do they love him, but he is making a significant amount of progress in terms of getting these guys to get up and eat every single play.
so what are your answers to these questions?
In terms of will we actually have a pass rush this season, yeah, I think we're going to see significant improvement in that area. I think we're going to look back in November, December, and look at all the national media because there are a lot of national media people who are asking this question earnestly, who don't understand Kirby Smart football and Kirby Smart coaching, and think, well, they didn't have much of a pass rush last year, except at certain moments. So I don't know if they're going to have one this year. So such and such team's going to beat them because of that. We understand because we're around the program and because we have eyeballs and intelligence that Kirby Smart tends to fix these issues. Bringing in Larry Knight was a big part of fixing those issues. And as we mentioned, you can just see it in the attitude that these guys have towards the game right now. So I would not be surprised if Georgia's got one of the top pass rushes in the country. Whether they get the sack numbers or not, I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing a lot of havoc coming into the backfield from this defensive line this year.
And then I will go ahead and let Mike get a moment to catch up. Um, my hot take, by the end of the day on October 3rd, Georgia has their season sack total from last season.
Oh, give it to me. Yes, please.
That was 20, right?
20. So you
Yeah.
got Tennessee State, Western Kentucky, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt.
Unfortunately,
Dom
Jared
gets
Curtis was
hit
not
so
named
often.
Yeah.
Like that's my hot take. And as far as defending the run goes, I'm not worried. You have Elijah
No, not at
Griffin.
all.
One guy that I have heard a decent amount about this year that didn't get as much playing time last season after he transferred from South Carolina a few years ago, Xavier McLeod.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, it's third
I
year in the program. Yeah.
yeah, and so one thing that I specifically really love about him as a player is that he got paid to transfer to Georgia, and when he didn't play his first year, he didn't play a ton. He didn't leave. He
Hmm.
was like, I'm going to a program that has the highest paid defensive lineman in the NFL for a reason. Trey Scott, you can argue with a brick wall, is the best defensive line coach in college football. Why would I choose to go here, realize I'm not good enough to compete on the field with these guys, and go somewhere else until I can compete on the field with these guys? He sat
Another
there, he
guy. Oh, go
stayed,
ahead.
he played. Really excited about him as an interior defensive lineman this season.
Yeah. Another guy who has gotten a lot of love in this camp is Ogboko. I'm not even going to
Yes.
try to pronounce his first name. I'm sure when the
Mm-hmm.
commentators say his name when he finally gets a sack, I will hear it. Um, but him and Big Joe apparently are making really big strides as well. Would not be surprised to see Ogboko get on the field early and often.
Yeah, Josh Horton is another one of those guys who had
Hmm.
so many flashes last season. Um, I think he with his speed and his height, I think he fits in a little bit better at Georgia's version of defensive end, which in a 3-4 defense, I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds here. In a 3-4 defense, you have defensive tackle, a nose tackle, and a defensive end. But the defensive end is not your 4-3 defensive end. They're a guy that seals the edge to an extent, but your outside linebackers are more in that role. I think Josh Horton at Georgia's 3-4 defensive end is going to be phenomenal. As far as I think he's going to be second as far as defensive linemen and sacks go behind Elijah Griffin.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And for what it's worth, too, just in terms of depth, a guy that I have been sort of hearing, and it's a connection of like I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, so take it with a grain of salt. But one guy who might end up with some playing time by the time this is all done in the defensive line is Carter Lucky, Lawson Lucky's little brother, who
Oh
has
yeah.
apparently bulked up a good bit and has really been impressing.
Well, one positive thing about Carter is that he has the foresight of a player that's been in the program for a few years, and whether or not his brother played on the defensive line, he
Mm,
knows what is valued in the locker room and by the coaches.
yeah.
He had somebody that knows flashy plays are like 10th on the list of things that get you onto the
Mm,
field.
yeah.
Size, commitment, physicality, effort, and doing what it takes off the practice field, weight
Yeah.
room, not being a jackass in class because I don't care that kids are getting paid. I guarantee you that if Kirby hears that you're being a jackass in the classroom, you're going to get punished for it. Like I just
Hmm.
because one thing that this team has harped on for essentially since the year 2000 is respect.
Yeah.
And Carter having that brother who's been in the program and can say, hey, if you want playing time, these are the things you have to achieve off the practice field to even get to the point where you can practice with the big dogs. I think it's helped him out immensely.
Yeah. For what it's worth, too, their youngest brother, who's at Norcross right now, apparently might be better than both of them. But we'll
What
see that
what
when we
position?
see it, I guess.
What position does he play?
I think he played tight end in high school. Carter did too, for the record.
Hmm. Okay.
Mike, your position on the defensive line, other than Elijah Griffin, is second in line behind Jalen Carter in as far as defensive linemen go for you.
Um. No, I mean I was thinking Horton up there as well on the cloud. So you guys kind of hammered that already. So kind of move on from there. But I mean, I'm excited about it. I think of all the things that we've talked about so far, that's probably the position group that probably has the most questions right now. But it's relatively speaking, I mean, I feel pretty good
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah, so let's move into the linebackers. Kirby Smart special here with the linebackers. So some of the things that we know, some of the things we're hearing out of fall camp. They obviously we know even without fall camp, they're returning a ton of experience in their linebacker room. Raylan Wilson deciding to come back for another year is huge, and Chris Cole has been here and just chomping at the bit, getting ready to go forever. And Justin, I can't think of his last name now. The
Justin
other
Williams.
Williams, thank you. I was going to say Harrison and would have looked like a dumb idiot. Um, but yeah, also somebody who we've been waiting to see break out. But despite all of that, reports are indicating that the linebackers were actually behind the other position groups in fall
Hmm.
camp and in these scrimmages. So do we think the linebackers are behind because they're struggling or because the other groups are just really, really good? Um, and then do we think, I just threw this in here, do we think Raylan Wilson is going to be the guy who emerges as the leader of the middle of the defense? There's always kind of a middle linebacker who does that. Is Raylan Wilson the guy to take that step, or do you guys think maybe somebody else is going to take over?
I mean, I think Raylan Wilson is already the leader of the linebackers, and I think you could argue that he's the leader of the defense, and
Yeah.
especially because on Kirby Smart defenses, your top linebacker is your quarterback of the defense. Like a defensive
Is a green
lineman
dot.
spots. Yep, get the
Mhm.
green dot. And this is Raylan's year as far as being the leader goes. I'll be honest, one thing that I am a little concerned about as far as the linebackers go is just looking through the roster here. Raylan Wilson, Chris Cole, yep, obviously. Justin Williams, yep, obviously. So you got three guys right there, and Georgia normally rotates at least four. Zayden Walker is a guy that I've heard a lot about. He's a guy that I've heard can take an almost Jalen Walker role this year as far as his physicality and getting to the quarterback. But can he fill the other parts of Jalen Walker's role? Still left to be seen. He is only a sophomore. But
Mhm.
I've talked about four guys, and as far as other guys in the inside linebacker room, I would love to be proven wrong. But I don't know what we have in any of these guys. The
Yeah.
name that I recognize the most is Elijah Littlejohn as a true freshman, 6'2", 225. Great
What?
size.
No.
He's a lot of good things have been coming out about him at camp as well, but again, not proven on a college football field yet. Is
Right. So I don't know. we got four that I am confident in can fill their roles to a high level. But who's that fifth guy when Georgia rotates as often as they do in the linebacker spot? I don't know.
Yeah, and then on the outside, we've got something similar going on. We got Gabe Harris, we've got Quintavious Johnson, we've got Amaris Williams, as the names kind of folks know. Chase Slinton under the radar is very good as well. And then it's like we've mentioned, a couple of guys who have not seen a whole lot of significant playing time. So I'm wondering if that depth is the reason they sort of fell behind. Maybe the starters are doing just fine, but the guys behind them might be struggling a little bit.
We do need to figure out how to pronounce. I'm sure if you're looking at the roster, you know exactly whose name I'm trying to pronounce in the outside linebacker. Darren, number 11.
Who knows? Yeah.
Uh, and I don't want this to come off as we're being disrespectful by not pronouncing these names. We're trying to be respectful by not messing them up.
Yeah, we don't want to butcher.
Something that Georgia used to be really good about is if you used to be able to click on the name, and it would take you to the player profile, which was awesome.
Get a pronunciation guide, yeah.
Pronunciation guide, and most players do not have that right now. And that
there's like 4 or 5 on the roster that have that right now.
And none of the ones that need it.
Yeah. Don't try when you click on his name, don't even try to say his middle name.
Gosh.
Yep, I won't.
There's Darren. Fine, Darren.
Yeah, hi Darren. How we doing?
Well, I got a hot take though. I think Chris Cole is going to be just so like he's not going to quite be Jalen Walker, but he can be somewhere in that stratosphere. I think going forward, being that pass rush specialist and get himself in as a first round pick next year.
Ooh, first round pick, love it.
Secondary, Mike, you got it.
Secondary, yeah. Let me pull that back up.
Very few questions about this group, so there's not much in here, but go for it.
Yeah. All right. So secondary. So as far as what we know, this is the group last year that was the highest performing on defense in camp, or not from last year, but this year, obviously. 4 out of 5 typical positions are basically settled between KJ Bolden, Ellis Robinson, Jones, and Barnes. But questions: who emerges as that fifth defensive back, and then how bad will things get for Alex Golesh when he calls an offense in Sanford Stadium for the first time since 2022?
I mainly threw that in there to make fun of Tennessee, and then got the news that Dolly Parton passed away. So sorry to you guys for mocking you today, but
we had adults crying at work about that.
I believe that.
Like as earlier, yeah.
That's crazy. And so I'll get started on secondary because this is the group that I am the least confident in.
Which is funny because every report says that this is the best group on the team.
And I understand that. But I also understand that these guys were supposed to be elite last year. And I don't think it was the players' fault that they were not.
Yeah.
Because last year the group was just as good, more experienced, and still struggled. And I still think it's from the coaching. Look, guys, I would love to be wrong. But when you have both of your coaches, between defensive backs and safeties, that were brought in for their recruiting acumen and not for the product on the field, because the guy that T-Rob brought in from Alabama was the coach for 2 of Alabama's worst secondaries in the 21st century. And the guy that they brought in from USC
is at USC.
Right, with Lincoln Riley, not known for defense.
For Lincoln Riley and Alex Finch at USC. That's where I'm at. Mm-hmm. I would love to be proven wrong. Let's put it like this. If Georgia has a top 30 secondary this year, top 30 in passing yards allowed, once a week during the offseason, I will come on and apologize to both the defensive backs coach on this podcast.
I think you're going to have to do it. I really do.
I would love to. Look, guys, I had a whole series of posts every week last year during the season of a fire T-Rob meter.
Yeah, that's true. And it was valid. It was valid. because last season was horrendous considering the talent level in the room. So I can't even blame you. I was 100% with you.
But as far as the guys go, man, I am super excited about the guys in this room. DeMello Jones, y'all know I've loved this guy for the last 3 years. I thought he was the third best defensive back in the room for a while. They brought over, hold the phone. Oh, they have him listed as a safety. Um, Jamarly Riddle at safety is
Yeah.
one of the players that I think is absolutely going to break out this year. I think people that are not Georgia fans or ECU fans are going to be very confused
Wondering where the
until,
heck this guy came from.
Yep.
yes, Kyron Jones, he dealt with an injury. I'm still excited about him.
Mhm.
Gentry Williams from Oklahoma was elite in his time as a starter and just kind of got passed over when he got out for injury. I've heard a lot of good things about Zion Branch this past offseason.
He played good in when needed, when called upon last year, I
Yeah,
thought.
most of the time, yeah, he was solid. He did give
Yeah.
up one play to Florida that thankfully was hit the ground, but we won't talk
Yeah, it
about
was
that
close,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But like I have no issues with guys in the room.
Mhm.
My issues are with the guys teaching the guys in the room. And so I would love to be proven wrong. Like I said, once a week on this podcast, I will personally apologize to those guys with a top 30 secondary. And I hope that I do it. But as far as the Alex Golesh thing, we got to remember that Alex Golesh offenses scored first every time Georgia played them.
So we need to make sure we have that prop bet ready to go.
Facts.
Yeah. But then they didn't score very much after that, did they?
Well, the 2021 game in Knoxville was a lot closer than I would have liked it to be.
It was 41-17.
Okay, well, I only remember the first half of that game. I was a groomsman in one of my best friend's weddings. So I got to watch the first half, the second half on my phone while drinking and dancing at the wedding. So excuse me for that.
Yeah.
The first half was closer than I would have liked it to be. Yeah.
Look, as somebody who watched the entire game sitting on a couch, it was very much another 2023 situation where they got the first touchdown, everybody celebrated, and it was nothing, man.
Yeah.
Did I talked so long about defensive backs. I don't even know. Did anybody else get to answer that question?
I don't think we have. So
Okay.
No.
in my opinion, and I listed him on my breakout players. I think Jamarly Riddle is probably going to be the guy to mostly take that fifth DB spot. Rayshon Jenkins is obviously going to get in a lot. They've been very high on him this
I
camp
can't
as well.
believe that I didn't mention him. Second half of last year, he was so huge.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think those two are probably going to rotate it. Barnes, I said it was mostly settled, but his spot might get rotated in and out with those guys too. I said Barnes because when I think it was T-Rob was giving sort of his assessment of the competition at safety, and the guys that he mentioned who were competing were Riddle, Dinkins, some of those other names, but very importantly, the two names he didn't name were KJ Bolden and Khalil Barnes, which told me they had their stuff locked up.
Mm-hmm.
Fair suspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. No questions here. I think, least amount of questions at any spot.
It's so maybe I am just too locked on last season, but this is my
I
biggest
think your
question.
opinions about the coaches in that room are valid. I think they're valid.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
They got torched, at a number of times last year. So I mean, that's still kind of present, but no, I think they'll be fine.
I will say I think a decent amount of the reason that they got torched was against quarterbacks that can move outside of the pocket and hit guys downfield when they had to cover a wide receiver that got an SEC scholarship for 3, 4, 5 seconds because the pass rush couldn't get home. You still have to deal with Trinidad Chambliss at least once this year.
Yeah.
Okay? So I feel like that's a valid concern regardless of who's rushing the passer and covering the receivers. overall expectations. What is the floor for this Georgia team?
Record wise.
So for this one, my thought was to do record. For
Regular
ceiling, it's
season?
going to have to be a little bit different. But yeah, regular season record.
Honestly, I think 10-2.
That was
Like
my thought
4.
too, which makes the betting line or win total seem so ridiculous.
Right.
So
Because like realistically, I mean, it's at Ole Miss, at Alabama, and then again a home
I
against
feel like you've
Oklahoma,
got
right?
three technically losable games, but
Yeah, but
I
you're
don't
not going
think
to
they
lose.
can lose all three.
Yeah, right.
yeah, and that's where I was going. Like I feel the absolute floor, like catastrophic injury, 9-3.
Yeah, if like we lose like Gunner or something like that, then
Yeah.
yeah,
I just
because he single-handedly won a few games.
yeah, and
Well, I should say single-handedly. Yeah.
I think I just think the rest of the team's too talented for them to drop below 9-3.
Yeah.
And I think there's too many good quarterbacks in that room for even if, God forbid, something happens to Gunner, for you to go the rest of the season without figuring something out.
Yeah, Faton Bauda's not walking through that door. Hopefully
Thankfully.
not.
Thankfully.
Yeah, he's a pro that's not coming back.
Yeah, we will
That was
not
never
be
a pro.
relying on Jake Bobo to come in here to figure things out.
What about Jackson Muschamp? Is he still there?
I wish, man.
Um,
All right. So for the ceiling question, obviously the ceiling we all think this team could win national championship, go undefeated if everything really fell into place and worked together like it could at their absolute best. So I'm not necessarily asking like, oh, that what's the ceiling? Oh, I think it's 12-2 in an SEC championship. Obviously none of us think that. But in terms of how they're remembered compared to the other teams this decade, what do you think the ceiling is?
so I think the ceiling is behind 21 and 22.
Yeah,
solidly third best team of the decade.
I can agree with that. Like
And
I think there's a chance maybe they beat every team by 50 and go 16-0, sure, but I think realistically speaking, they're never going to beat 21 and 22, but they can accomplish a lot and beat the third best team of the decade.
Yeah.
And I think the most optimistic, everything goes right, the stars align, somewhere like an offense a few points better than 21 and a defense a few points better than 22.
Yeah, I think that
would be perfect. I would take that in a heartbeat.
100%.
Like I think that's stars align, everything it just magically falls into place. We're talking about Gunner in New York. We're talking sweeping most of the defensive trophies. That's ideally offense a little better than 21, defense a little better than 22. But I'm going to go back to it. The defensive back coaches scare me so much.
Well, when we were going into 21, I mean, I felt like they were slept on because I thought 20 was the year.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously before COVID and everything, but like 21, I mean,
if Jake Fromm hadn't left, I feel like you absolutely could have been the year.
Yeah. But like, I mean, 21, they were kind of slept on like in the national media, like they were, or like they are this year. So I mean,
22, we had a lot of questions about that secondary. Javon Bullard hadn't really become himself at that time. We didn't know who this Malachi Starks kid was. Like,
right.
22, I talked, and we only had a handful of episodes for the 22 season. I was high on Javon Bullard the whole time.
I believe you. I remember that.
I love a nickelback that just wants to safely
look at this photograph.
I
was
in
say.
people's lives.
Yeah, that's true. Despite Ryan Day still crying that it actually is targeting.
Yeah, and I mean, 22. There were games in 22 that were dangerously close to being catastrophic.
Yeah, hey Kentucky, hey Missouri, how we doing? I expect that to be the case again this year. Not necessarily against those opponents, but just for us to have some of those games like last season where we were sweating things out. And I don't think that changes the fact that this team could win a national championship.
Agreed.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here?
Baseball wise, they approved the ABS thing, so you can challenge balls and strikes in college baseball next year.
Let's go.
Ideal. Because if
Mhm.
y'all think MLB is bad, go watch some regular season college baseball games.
Yeah. Boy.
All right, y'all, that is going to do it for this episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. I did successfully go that entire episode with starting sentences with all right twice, by the way.
There we go.
But if you want to follow us on social media, which we're going to be much more active on now that the season is about to start, follow us on Instagram at nothing.finer.pod, on Twitter at finerpod, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. Just look us up and you can find us there. And most importantly, always remember there is nothing finer in the land.
And a
And a
drunk
drunk
obnoxious
obnoxious
all hail Bryson Beaver.